who urged me to dedicate my life through baptism. So for a long time I felt like I should be baptized, but there was always one thing that was holding me back. And my counselor at CBM asked me what that was, and I said that I was afraid to share my testimony with everyone on stage. And then he said this: you can't let fear hold you back from doing the Lord's bidding. And that's when I decided to get baptized. So this is my testimony. I grew up in a Christian home. My parents, siblings, and relatives are Christians. I went to a Christian elementary school, and I went to church on Sundays. I heard the gospel multiple times, but I didn't really understand it until the summer when I went to the day camp here at church in 6th grade. So I've pretty much been a Christian my whole life, but I don't think that I was a true Christian. Throughout my childhood years, I remember struggling with one particular thing: hate. Let me give you a little background to help you understand how I got into that mess. So when I was a kid, I was really shy. I was so shy that it was almost the equivalent of not knowing how to speak English. And that made things really difficult for me as a kid. When it was time for me to graduate from the 5th grade to the 6th grade, my parents decided to transfer me to another school because it was closer to where we had moved a couple of years back. And because of this, I lost every friend that I made in elementary school and had to restart my social life in middle school. Because of my shyness, it was extremely difficult, even impossible, to make friends. And to make things worse, the kids at my school weren't so nice to me. Most of them didn't bother trying to talk to me, and some of them only wanted to pick on me. So through most of middle school, I only had a few acquaintances. I remember how every day at lunchtime, I would just sit by myself at an empty table, eating my food, and then spend the rest of the time just wandering around. Eventually, I just became accustomed to loneliness, and stopped caring about making friends. And that's where things started to get bad. As I spent my time alone, I began to grow bitter towards other people. I was envious of their natural ability to speak freely and happily with others, whereas I could only mumble one or two words with difficulty. Because of my resentment, I started to further distance myself from other people. I just stopped trying to overcome my shyness, and I accepted that I was going to live a lonely life. And I just hated people. It wasn't until the summer going into 8th grade when things changed. That summer I signed up to help at the day camp here because it was convenient for my parents because my siblings were going to be there. Initially I was hesitant to do anything, but eventually I started to notice something very different about the people at the day camp. First of all, the other staff members were very happy people. I saw that they were always working gladly and diligently, even in spite of immense stress and exhaustion. The kids that I worked with were very happy to be at the camp. Many of them would even come up to play with me. And serving at camp, I learned that people weren't as bad as I thought they were, and that they were just like me. They went to love and to be loved. And along with the first-hand experience of people was a greater understanding of the gospel. Because one part of the duties assigned to each staff member is the responsibility of sharing the gospel with the kids. And of course, this necessitated that I polish my own understanding of the gospel. So after spending some time practicing with sharing the gospel, I finally understood the great significance of Jesus' sacrifice on the cross. I realized that his death on the cross was the ultimate demonstration of love, in that it was a personal sacrifice for people who were as far away from God as they could because of their sins. And I was just blown away by this new understanding. I thought to myself that if God could do that much for people who hated and rejected him, then I could at least try to be friendly to the people around me. And that was when I decided to make a turnaround. With great difficulty, I slowly came out of my shell. I started to say more than just one or two words. I slowly strengthened my social skills. I started to make friends at school, and I exercised my public speaking skills. And to sum it all up, I learned how to love people, and that's when I became a true Christian. And I've been continuing to do that until this day where I stand before you about to be baptized. Thanks.
brought about because he bore our hatred and he bore all of our inadequacies, and he took all of that upon himself and he went to the cross for us. And now that we can transition from hate to love, from shyness to service, we praise the Lord that God has done a wonderful work in your life. And upon your confession of faith, I now baptize you in the name of the Father, the Son,